Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 3 of What Is It That We Really Want, and how do we get it to stay in our vessel? How do we stay fulfilled for longer than just the initial 40-second compliment or whatever it is that we're looking for to fulfill us? Back at episode 3, we're with Momo, Mike, and Rachel, and they're going to share with us their tips on how they are able to get through those moments, how they're able to balance their vessel, balance their light, and make sure they're not drawing in too much so that it feels really good and then they lose it. So let's start with Momo. Momo, how do you balance your light? You said you're cheap. How do you stay wanting money, but at the same time not let money control you?
So I do a couple of things. One is I try to use my own, so to speak, weakness of being too cheap and being too calculating against itself by saying, okay, if I'm going to be calculating, let's calculate this. Is being cheap worth the outcome of being cheap? Right? Yes, I may save a few dollars, but I might lose a relationship. How much is that relationship worth to me? Right? And oftentimes I find that once I start breaking things down like that, I'm able to, kind of let go of being so focused on, money, 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 money. Got to keep the money, got to save the money, like the little goblin monster. That's one. Two,
You
this actually helps.
calculate, you use your calculation skills but you do it with things that aren't money.
Exactly. I transformed the calculation from being about how to be cheap to how to not be cheap, right? Like I switched the focus. That's the practice is the same, the focus and the goal of it is different. It just feels natural that way. So that's one. Two is this one's a little tougher that had to really get started on is I realized that money had a very tight hold on me and I wanted all of it, and I learned from my parents who are kabbalistic teachers about tithing, which means to give away 10% of your income in order to get rid of the negativity associated with greed and holding on to your money like that, or at least that's how I interpreted that lesson. And so I give away 10% of my income every month or whenever I get money to charity. And I found that one, it loosens the hold on me because now I feel like, oh, if I could give away 10%, I'm not being controlled by it anymore. Clearly, I can let go of some. I could let go of the other if I needed to, right? And it kind of gets me a little more wiggle room with that like all-encompassing greed. And two, I feel really good knowing that a piece of my income or what I'm doing is going towards a positive cause, because before it was just being hoarded by me and only me, and like no one was benefiting from this. It was just me, and honestly it stressed me out, trying to keep track of money, calculating money. How much do I have? I want more. I don't have enough. Da da da. When now it's like, don't worry, the universe will provide it, everything you need. It's a little bit of certainty needed, but end of the day,
Another discussion, but that's very
yeah,
that
another discussion. But end of the
that
day, I
gets
found
you
that
through
it
the door.
really, really helps.
That gets you through the door. It allows you to say it's not all about me. I'm not going to think about everything so much,
Yeah.
calculated. And it says I'm going to give 10% away to charity. So that's your way to do it. You
Yeah.
stay
Also, the first step is the hardest. So once I was able to share 10%, I found that I found myself more being aware of being able to share, like, oh, I'm at the grocery store and my friend might need some groceries or something. So I call them, hey, do you need me to pick up something for you? And if they ask me for like one item that's like $3, I feel like, oh, it's not a problem, I'll cover it. I'm not even gonna go through the like asking them for the money back because I want to share in that moment. And it helps me to actually share more and more and more and more. And I feel better and better and better and better as it goes.
so literally it literally transformed you. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
I'm
Mike, what do you
sorry.
do?
So I think in that moment, and those moments will come again, I have this kind of saying where it's take charge and love yourself. Now, what does that mean to take charge in that kind of moment where you're being controlled from these external things and to love yourself? Sometimes in life, it comes a time where, like I went through, and I feel like Momo and Rachel and all of us went through that. There's idea that
I also went through it for sure. I'm just kidding.
David, everyone, that we all went through, that, we want to be accepted and we want to be loved. Now, that is a good thing. Again, like we said, that is a great thing, but where does it come from? And I thought that it comes from buying expensive clothes and getting compliments from kids I don't even care about. That was my epiphany. Now, what does it mean to take charge in that moment? It means to basically analyze your consciousness. I mean, of course, it starts with asking why. Why do I want to be accepted, and why do I want these things? But it's to analyze basically and kind of like look back. It also connects to, another monologue we talked about, pause, word of pleasure, kind of connects to that idea, but it's to analyze why you're doing the thing that you're doing, why you're craving it, and to basically take charge and to say, listen, I want to feel this light. I want to feel accepted. I want to feel loved. I want to feel cool. But it's not going to come from these people. It's not going to come from having expensive clothes. It's not going to come from having these external things. And then it transforms into loving yourself. That is the answer from it. So once you take charge, then comes a step to love yourself. Now, what does it mean to love yourself? Sometimes to love yourself is not to be the nice guy. Loving yourself isn't living this la la land that everything is beautiful and everything is fine and I'm perfect the way I am. No. Like we said before, no one is perfect. We are who we are, and that's okay, and that's great. Part of also loving yourself is saying no. And I think that's the process that I went through. I came to a conclusion, seeing that buying clothes, thinking I'll get accepted and feeling I'll feel happy. I came to a conclusion that no, I feel exactly the opposite. I felt even more depressed. I felt even more, sucked out of my energy. I felt even more anxious. And I realized that, I care about myself and I love myself. So what am I going to do in this moment? I'm going to stop trying what I did before, to stop trying to be accepted from these other people. And I'm going to start seeing what I want to wear, what I want to look like, what I want to feel, not what other people want to feel. Because at the end of the day, when you go back home, it's just you and yourself. All those people that you want acceptance, all those people that you want to be cool in front, they go away. And especially, when you go out of high school, most of the people that you wanted or you thought were cool, just go away, just fade away from the world, and most of the time fade away from your life. And at the end of the day, you become the more cooler than them. So I think having those kind of two concepts, taking charge, analyzing the situation, why you feel this way. And by doing so, you turn it into loving yourself, into understanding why you do it and seeing what more things can you do to get that light, get acceptance, get feeling good. Wear expensive clothes, but do it in a way where it's healthy, where it's balanced, and where you feel good and you feel great about it, and not because someone else does. So that's what usually I do.
I love that. When you said take charge, I got like a really clear visual. When you want to be accepted, what you're doing is you're driving your car to your friend's house. You're giving them the keys to your car, and you're saying, "You tell me what I need to be, what I need to be like, what I need to say in order to feel cool." Like you're literally handing them the keys to your car.
You're giving the keys to your brain, even, or to your personality. You're like giving them your suit and your soul and saying, "Okay, I want you to press my buttons. Tell me how to think. Tell me what to do. Tell me how to be." And that's just so toxic.
Take charge is saying, I bring the keys back. That
Exactly.
for me was a very powerful visual. By take charge can mean many things, but take charge, bring the keys back into your own car. Bring the keys back to your mind. You determine what's cool. You determine what's accepted. You determine where you want to be. You determine who you want to be with. I think that's a very powerful tool. Rachel, how about you? What's your tool that keeps you grounded and balanced with your energy?
First of all, Momo and Mike, those are great tools and I can definitely relate and hopefully I'm going to use them. First, I wanted to start by saying that at least for me, this struggle is still present and definitely not as much, but it's still there, and that's so okay. And it's hard for me to say that. And this is like the first time that I'm telling people. So it's very new to me to be sharing this, but I still struggle with like eating habits and, healthy eating habits and I was saying before, sometimes I'll skip a meal, but now it's not purposely like I'm gonna skip a meal because I want to look skinny. It's sometimes you just get busy and you forget, but I feel like normal people don't forget to eat. Um, so I just kind of make that excuse like, oh, I forgot. And people will be like, you don't just forget. Like something in your subconscious is telling you like you're not worthy of eating dinner, which is really, really powerful. And I want to emphasize that everyone is worthy of eating and feeling good and feeling healthy and feeding their bodies. And when I have those moments of like, you don't deserve to eat right now, which is so sad. I think to myself, my body works for me 24/7. Every minute of every single day, my body is working for me. And when I decide not to eat, I'm doing, I'm not like returning the favor, right? I'm keeping the fuel of my body. How do I expect my body to work for me if I'm not feeding it? And it's not fair to myself and it's not fair to the people around me, but most importantly to myself, because I am worthy of eating and being healthy and, you know, being happy and eating and being happy. And it might seem like to people that don't struggle with this, it might seem kind of like crazy, but to those of you out there that do struggle with this, I know you understand the feeling. And I want you to know you're not alone. And it is something that you just have to tell yourself every day. You are worthy. You are capable of overcoming this step by step. And it is a process. And I've been struggling with this for maybe 6 years now, but it does get better every day.
Powerful. Thank you for being open. Thank you for sharing for the first time on camera to anyone
It's
that's
amazing.
you literally have no idea who's listening. But for me, that was like, it just shows that all of us are in a process. All of us are in a process. You know, we're coming to share these tools with you. That doesn't mean that every single time we get into a situation where, you know, we need to either pause or balance our energy, we do it all the time. I think that's also a powerful thing to remind yourself. You know, Momo grounds himself by, you know, sharing or, you know, analyzing and using his over calculative nature to say, is it worth the 5 cents for me to calculate my friend's loss? You know, Mike says, you know, take the keys back to your car, you know, take charge. And we don't all take charge. It's not easy. We're all in a process. We're all becoming our best selves. And I think that's one of the coolest things about, you know, this specific module, this specific lesson, is that the reason why the light made us a being that needs to be filled is so that we can keep growing and keep elevating and keep becoming the best versions of ourselves. And every time we learn something like this, every time we use one of these tools, our vessel becomes bigger. The light stays there longer. And we're going to have a whole different class on how to make our vessel bigger, how to want bigger things, not just stay with a small vessel. But every time we do this, we're in a process of growth, and we're in a process of allowing the light to stay in our vessel for longer than if we were just looking for it on the outside. So I think that's really powerful that all of you kind of gave those tools to share, the take charge, the using your own kind of self-talk about stinginess against you. And we can do that with anything. You can use those tools against your nature. And you know, Rachel, just being open and honest and saying that we're all in a process. So
If I could just add something, sorry,
please.
to
Please, no.
what Rachel was saying. You were saying how people don't feel worthy, and so we're like still in a process. Sometimes, like obviously, we're not perfect. We still go through a process. I still have issues here and there with being cheap and stuff. But sometimes I try to overcorrect, which is something I think people should also be aware of. Is I'll try so hard to not be cheap that I end up just throwing money. Like it's not even sharing anymore. It's literally me just throwing away the money to whatever. And then I look back and go, oh my God, I just wasted. And then it kind of turns me back into the cheapness because I'm like, oh, I stepped too far out of bounds. Time to clamp down, you know,
Yeah.
what's it called? Like secure everything, stuff like that. And
Secure
like
the
with
bag.
eating, I kind of have the opposite problem of you is I eat too much. And it's funny you said you don't feel worthy of eating enough. For me, as you were saying that, I started to think about my own thing, and I realized I didn't feel, or now I recognize it, but I didn't feel like I was worthy of feeling healthy, feeling just satisfied. I had to overdo it to literally the point where I can't, it's hard to breathe after certain meals because you just keep shoving down food. Because it's like, if I don't have it now, when am I going to have it? And it was kind of a mix between my thing of being cheap, right? Like, I need food. I want to make sure that I have all the food, and also not feeling worthy, or like that I can just eat healthily and be okay about it.
Right.
You know?
I
Yeah.
100%
Thank you.
agree with that. Like the idea of overdoing things and overdoing or over
Overcompensating.
fixing. Yeah. Like I think there was a time where I kind of had this epiphany realizing that I buy all these expensive clothes. And again, like how I said, I was even more depressed and more anxious like before. And it got to a place where I would just not buy any nice clothes, and I would just wear like rags and like just like old clothes that would just sit in my room. Like it was disgusting. And I kind of sat down with myself. I was like, listen, dude, like, yeah, when you overdo it, like when you buy all the time expensive clothes to be accepted, that's toxic. And when you don't buy any nice clothes then you feel even more less confident and more less yourself, and you feel it's like being the effect, like, and again, it's all about the balance. It's all about finding your place in your actions and how to connect all of that into what you're doing, what you're thinking. But I think the idea of also overdoing, that's something that also we should look forward to, and like seeing how we can control that.
Wow.
Very powerful. Very powerful. So, I mean, we learned in these past 3 modules, right? What do we really want? What are the things that we want? Hopefully you were thinking about it throughout the entire time. What is it that you want? We learned that the source of all of that fulfillment, that goodness, the deeper energies of what we're looking for comes from the light, and the light wants us to have it all, but it's all about moderation. How do we balance everything that's coming in so that it's not for others, that it really is for our core? And even if you're overcorrecting and either you're overeating or you're like just throwing money away like Momo, or you're not buying anything, that's still not thinking about you first. It goes back to the same discussion.
Exactly.
So realizing that the light wants us to be happy more than we want to be happy. The light wants us to be full. But when that light comes in, how do we moderate it? How do we control it so that it doesn't become the cause of our happiness, the acceptance, the skinniness, the whatever it might be, and saying to ourselves, I'm the cause of my happiness. Now what do I want to do? And that's, I think, really powerful. And I think you guys all gave us some awesome tools tonight to be able to do that. So thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Momo, for your wisdom and just your sharing and being open. And thank you most of all for watching and joining us for these really, I find them really powerful. We're all learning from each other, just hearing each other speak. So thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you at a later episode. All the best.
Take care.
Thanks, David. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.